The UN Human Rights Commission termed the violence as a textbook example of ethnic cleansing and accused Myanmar government of doing genocide, crime against humanity, and human rights violations. Gambia filed a case against Myanmar at the International Court of Justice titled Application of the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide, the Gambia versus Myanmar, for violating the Genocide Convention.
The Gambia is a party to the Genocide Convention, as is Myanmar. And so while the Gambia wouldn't seem to have any direct stake in what's going on in Myanmar and the plight of the Rohingyas, the fact that it's a party to the convention means it's entitled to bring any other party to the International Court of Justice. And the International Court of Justice deals only with disputes between states, not individuals. That would be at the International Criminal Court. And so the Gambia, for reasons of general concern about the humanitarian catastrophe and the atrocities being committed against the Rohingyas, decided this was one avenue for trying to put pressure on Myanmar. The case itself, the first thing that the court had to decide was whether it had jurisdiction and whether the Gambia had standing to bring the case. And it decided both of those in favor of the Gambia. It said, yes, we have jurisdiction and the Gambia can bring a case because, as I said, it's a party to the Convention on Genocide. And it also issued some provisional measures in which it basically said, stop the acts which are currently alleged to constitute genocide and other major crimes. So it's already been a success to that extent, but it hasn't gotten to the full merits of the case. It hasn't decided whether, for example, Myanmar is in violation of the Genocide Convention. And that, one of your questions was what's the progress of the case? There are public hearings about to occur on that issue within the next month.
While repatriation, of course, remains our priority, we also know that nobody is going to go back if they know that the perpetrators, those who have committed the crimes against them, are still roaming around freely. So what is the guarantee that this will not happen to them again? So unless we can actually instill that sense of confidence in them, that, no, this is not going to happen, there has to be accountability for the crimes committed against them. So from that context, the proceedings in the ICJ and the ICC are extremely, extremely important. And we, Bangladesh, we also strongly support these international accountability initiatives. It is very, very important that the root causes of the problem is addressed. That is the issue regarding their identity and recognition, restoration of their citizenship. They were citizens, that it was taken away from them, right? Once in the 1960s and then again in 1982. So restoration, I would say restoration of their citizenship as rightful citizens of their country. Unless that is addressed, unless the crimes committed against them are held accountable, justice is not done, there is not going to be any durable solution. Because as I had said earlier also, they remain a disenfranchised community in their own country, stateless within their own state. On the accountability front, I think the international community has been quite successful and effective. And I would like to thank actually the active role of the media, the civil society, as well as the Rohingya diaspora. This time they have been quite active in mobilizing information and support globally. And there has been also remarkable unity within the international community to bring the perpetrators of the atrocities to justice. The prosecutor's office at the ICC, the International Criminal Court, has initiated an investigation for the forced deportation of Rohingyas from Rakhine. And on the other hand, a case under the 1948 Genocide Convention has been filed with the International Court of Justice by the Gambia, which you just mentioned. The Human Rights Council also has established an investigative mechanism which is currently collecting evidences of crimes committed against the Rohingyas and other civilians. The case filed by the Gambia on behalf of the OIC is a significant development. Already the court has declared the Rohingyas as a protected community and issued provisional measures asking Myanmar authorities to take measures for their protection. And we believe these processes are extremely important. I have to repeat it again, extremely important to create confidence among the Rohingya population. And we believe this will also help to break the culture of impunity that exists in Myanmar. And the member states of the UN, especially the Security Council, we believe also needs to fully back these legal proceedings.
The International Court of Justice, these cases tend to take a very long time. And so the first thing we're going to hear is more objections as to whether the court should even be hearing the case. So don't expect it to get to the merits for perhaps another year or two. That being said, it is very possible that the International Court of Justice will come to a conclusion that the Genocide Convention has been violated. Various human rights groups, including independent commissions, have come to that conclusion. Of course, it's up to the court to weigh all of the evidence, and so there will be a lot of evidence brought forth. But it is possible that it will come to that conclusion. And if it comes to that conclusion, it will order Myanmar to stop the acts, to punish those who are responsible, to create the conditions for the return of refugees and internally displaced persons, might even award monetary compensation. Okay. The significance of that is, first of all, obviously, as an important legal institution, it will send a very strong signal. The challenge, of course, is enforcement of ICJ decisions. The International Court of Justice doesn't have its own police force. And if Myanmar refuses to comply with the decision of the ICJ, the only real solution there is either diplomatic pressure, which is what's happening right now, or conceivably taking it to the UN Security Council. The UN Charter actually has a provision in it which says if a party does not comply with its obligations, the Security Council can address it. But of course, when you go to the UN Security Council, you're dealing with the 5 veto-wielding countries, including China and Russia. And it brings us back to the question of how willing will China and Russia be to bring significant pressure to bear on Myanmar to fulfill its obligations not to commit genocide. So there's no guarantee this will automatically produce a result, but obviously having the World Court come to that decision, if it comes to that decision, it will change the political dynamics and make it a lot harder for countries who up until now have been reluctant to pressure Myanmar to put that additional pressure on Myanmar to do the right thing.